2016, online and soon to be on premise, called FieldOne Sky. It's a new venture for Microsoft. They purchased FieldOne Sky very recently and rolled it out with their 2016 release, and they're still doing the testing for on-premise, so it should be available on-premise very soon. Essentially, what FieldOne Sky gives you to do is allows you to run field service and give you an overall view of everything that you need to see within the field service. So there's a couple different ways you get started with that. You get started with it from cases. Generally, cases are the standard service bearer for CRM before FieldOne Sky. The reason we still use cases in this term is we still want to track the amount of touches that our clients give us. So even if we don't create a work order out of it, we still want to know how many times a client has contacted us with a question or an issue that they've had, so we can analyze that data to see how many calls we're actually getting. From a new case, and I apologize, this is a test environment that I'm in, so some of the setup by Microsoft is not allowing me to do certain pieces that I would like to do within here, but I can still create a case. Case 1, 2, 3. Assign it to a customer. Enter any contact that I have for that customer if I want. And something that's different than if you've used cases before within CRM is there's an incident type here. This incident type ties directly to the FieldOne Sky. What this incident type does is it basically gives you an estimate of hours for the type of incident it is. It can add tasks into it. It can add actual lines of product lines, anything you're going to need for that type of incident. In this case, we're going with helium as well. All right, if I was to save this, the problem is within this test system, it's telling me that there's a count of replacement boxes, which has something to do with the test, has nothing to do with FieldOne Sky at all. So as far as what would happen here is I would save this case, and then if it is something that needs to be going to service where somebody is going to be running a service call for it, we would convert it to work order. What that would do is would take the information of the customer, the incident type, and it would bring it over to our FieldOne Sky environment, where it would create a new work order with our work order type, the work order type, our incident type, everything that we have here in an open, unscheduled manner. Okay. The other way these work orders get created is through opportunities. A lot of times people use FieldOne Sky to manage quote-unquote jobs that they have. So they'll sell a job through an opportunity, and from the opportunity they can actually from this opportunity, if they have line items in here and they have the proper information, they can convert it to a work order and assign resources to run that, get it scheduled, and run everything from the work order itself with a tie back to the actual data that they brought across in the first place. So all this leads us basically to our FieldOne Sky. Today we're going to be focusing on work orders because this is the main piece of everything. So when you, from an opportunity or from a case, we create work orders. One of the things is once it creates a work order from a case, it has certain information already filled out for you. Service account and a billing account. There is a field on the account that you can set a different billing account for your service if it has a different billing. Automatically, when you create a new case, or sorry, work order, it comes in as unscheduled. And if you look here, resources is how this gets changed. So if we have certain statuses in here by default. Open, unscheduled, open, scheduled, in progress, completed, closed, and posted, and closed, canceled. We'll go over a little bit more of this, but by default, when you open it up, it starts as unscheduled. Really the important pieces on here are the incident types. So incident types bring in a whole host of other pieces to it. So in this case, we're using helium is low. If you look, there's scheduled duration hours, and that's based on some other information that gets added in. So our primary incident is helium is low. By default, by having that, we know that this is a preventative maintenance call. It fills in the price list, our tax codes. All of that is based on getting a certain incident type filled out. What it also does is it gives us different pieces of data down here, and I'm going to open each one of these up. So from having that incident type, I can have a certain checklist of items that I need to go through when I get out there based on what that incident is. In this case, it's check nozzle, check casing, measure the output. Okay, each one has a duration to it, which help make up the hours. There's possible products that may be needed based on what's going on there, top fixture. And if you notice on here for these line items, it's showing estimated. I'll explain what that is in a sec. Also services, replace the meter base. Okay, so if it has a leak, generally one of the services is replacing the meter base, the general cost on that, and the hours that takes to do that. So we have all this added in here for us, so when the tech gets this call, they'll see all this data. Before the tech even gets the call, we need to get it scheduled. So there's a couple ways of scheduling. There's a scheduling assistant, which you can pull this up, and because these are all sample companies within Microsoft, they're spread out, so it's not going to show me any data, but what you would do is you would put in your radius and pull your resource type, meaning is it a crew, is it a user within the system, how are your resources that run these calls, how are they defined for you? When I would search my resources, it would give me all my open time slots for an hour and 15 minutes to run this call. And then I can select that slot and then basically have it put it on the board for me, reserving that time for this call. The other way, the general way that this is done is usually through our scheduling board. The scheduling board allows us to do is see a view of all our resources based on how we're picking them by different territories, by the different types, who the actual resources are in different manner here. Now, if you look here, under my board, I have all my unscheduled work orders. What I can do with these is I can actually click and drag these to the different parts of the board. So if I want to schedule this for, I look today and we are open, I can actually take this call. It's only a 75-minute call. I can take that and drag that to 8 a.m. on my board. So that's 7:43 because it likes to drag where it wants. When I move it here, move the work order. It's asking me if I want to move the work order to that day, make sure. And I can actually click and drag. So if the general time that the incident tells me is 75 minutes, I know it's going to be longer than that just because of sheer drive time and checking. I can actually take it and drag it out. Oops, sorry. I got a clicky mouse today. Hold on.
That is so cool.
Let me get my clicky mouse off of it here.
That's okay. I had a question for you anyway, Jamie. It's Donna.
Yes.
So is there a way to set up the resources so that you can tell what type they are, what skill they have?
Yes. Under the resource setup, so sorry, I got that fixed. It lets me drag it out. So that's part of our setup. There is under, I have two windows open because that schedule bar I'm going to get back to.
Okay.
Under the administration for FieldOne Sky, there's a whole section here of different things that you can do. One of the things with resources is you have your resources here. They basically tie out to different pieces. So users are ones that are the techs are going to be running the calls that have the most likely have a mobile device that they can tie to that are going to be able to respond to things on the call, as far as getting notification that the call is coming in, being able to change their statuses on the calls as they're working, which we're going to get to, and pieces like that. But you do have resource skills that you can add a new skill and put in the different skill groups based on there. And
Okay.
within the incidents, these tie to the incident types as well. So you can see only ones that have certain skills. Um, and you can
Okay.
actually set up groups so you have a grouping of resource skills.
Yeah, I was just thinking about the healthcare industry where, you have to have a charge nurse for every shift, and you have to have somebody with XYZ experience for every shift, and an infection control person. So,
Yeah, we actually have that with one of our clients now, where they have, it's more on the manufacturing side, where there's electrical engineers and mechanical engineers,
hmm
and they break up their resources by those skills, which tie right into the incident types. So if I'm back in my administration here, and I go to my incident types, if you see here, under this incident, we have the different pieces that we need.
yeah, even my sister, who's a police officer, they have to have a certain type of person that has evidence technician gathering experience for every shift. Okay,
Right. So then these are those pieces where I added in what's part of a call.
great.
So by these incident types, you can actually add in the services that are needed and everything details,
Okay,
and then
thanks.
everything ties into here. Um, so once you get a call scheduled on our board here by putting it on here, a lot of times, essentially this is on the board. Your tech will get a notification. Unfortunately, I can't show you the mobile app at this point because I have no way to get my phone to project on the screen for that. But the tech would have access to it from their phone, and they'd be able to come in to the work order, to actually the work order schedule. So now if you see if it's that I had that on the schedule board now it actually has that person listed here under the schedule. One of the things that happens here is when this person goes, so system status is scheduled, when they're on their way there, they can change this to traveling. And what this will do is track their actual travel minutes. So if I do that and I look at my schedule board now and refresh it, it changes my color to purple to know that they're in traveling status. Okay. If you notice, this one is in green because this call is always complete. This call is completed. And I'm not sure if you can see it up here, but there's this little blue bar up here. In this one, we have it showing the amount of travel time that it's going to take to get to that client. So in this whole time span of time, this is the amount that we expect for travel.
And how is that calculated? Is it part of the
That's
incident
calculated from the resource itself.
from the resource?
Yeah, on the resource. So I'm in this resource here. You can put an estimated amount of travel time.
Okay.
So you have an estimated arrival time. Um, Once I actually get there, I change this to in progress. The tech would have it from their mobile app, and then it actually wants this can be all done through workflow, but since it was a demo environment, I couldn't get that set right away. So I would pick the actual arrival time here.
But
You can have
ordinarily,
it.
it would create it based
Ordinarily, it
on,
would fill it out. Yeah, based on.
and then I'm
Um,
imagining it could notify someone.
yeah, yeah. Basically, anytime a status changes, we can have something notify somebody. Um, but if they're using the schedule board and they're refreshing, if you notice now, it changed it to darker blue. Okay. Um, and I'm assuming because I put this on for the 20, I started it on the 23rd, and I'm not sure what. Here. Okay, so the estimated arrival time was 3:04. I'm marking it as 11 a.m., so it's giving me 7 hours of travel. So if you look at this here, it's
Going
giving
to
me,
Fargo?
yeah, it's giving me a long travel time here, but it did change our color. So these are ones that are scheduled and not run yet. This is showing me that I'm in progress
Okay.
on the call. So really at this point, the tech's got the control. They can mark it on break if they're going on break, so it stops tracking time for them at that point. I save it. I come back in. I'm not sure if that gives me a different color. Yep, it's got a different color for on break. So if he's not working at that point, he's eating lunch. Come back in. Once the tech back on the call. Sorry, I was touching my keyboard with my other hand. You can see he's still on the call. And there is an auto refresh on this. I'm just refreshing it right now since we're going through here. Okay, so I can see he's still on the call. Once he's done, it turns green like this, tech complete. Some of the things that get done at that point is, I'm going to go back because I want to keep these schedules in the way we have them here. So I go back to my work orders and just go to this tech completed one. So once that resource is complete, obviously it changes our system status here. Oh, and in this case too, we can have multiple resources. You can have as many resources as you need on a call. Generally, the way that works is you add the first one either from the schedule board, or you can add multiple right here and have them set for the same time. That way, you're tracking all the time for all your people that are there. Once you have that in, you noticed we had these products in there before that showed estimated. You can actually select these products if you use them and mark those lines to used, and what that will do is add into our pricing for our invoicing later on, if you are invoicing. Yeah, obviously warranty calls are different. Some companies don't invoice through here. They just literally use it to track their time, but you can invoice through the system using the same process here. And so I can mark off my service tasks as I use them as well.
And I didn't mention, but anybody can ask questions during the presentation using the chat box, so feel free.
Yeah, and Donna, please let me know if there are any questions in there.
Yeah, I will.
I am not looking at the chat box right now.
That's okay. So this is included in CRM 2016?
It is included as part of 2016. You do not have to pay anything extra for it. What it will do, though, is there will be a solution that would have to be downloaded and installed.
Okay.
It's not part of the install. When they do the upgrade to 2016, it doesn't show up. You actually have to install a solution for it. But it's not, as far as I've been told, is it doesn't cost anything more. It's part of the actual rollout. They just don't have it in the install package yet.
Okay, and then you would need to configure it, of course, how you want it.
Yes, and the configuration is this whole piece here, where essentially you can get very granular with this, or you can keep it at a higher level. You can go all the way back to doing returns on products, different service level agreements that you want to do, time off requests are through here. Your different territories, you can break down your territories by regions and have your text assigned to those regions, so that when you are using the scheduling assistant where it tells you what times are open, it will give you based on the regions that calls in, or the territory that's in. Different work order types use different varying information for them. So if we have, say, a preventative maintenance call here, this is what's going to give us our different. If we have different overheads for pieces, if it's taxable or not, if there's an incident that's required for it, pieces like that. Really, I've seen this work a couple different ways at a couple different clients where they do it straight as support. It's all calls coming in for service, or so they're just running service calls. They're still tracking them under cases because they want to know how many calls get resolved on the phone compared to how many actually make it to a work order. I've also seen it on the other side as far as a job or a project where work's going out for bid. The bid's accepted. They take it from there and create it as a work order and put all their line items in for products and services that they're going to be doing and run it as a project/job at that point. Within here, you can do your inventory tracking and inventory adjustments. You can actually run warehouses and keep real-time inventory through the process. Like I said, you have customer service agreements on different levels of service. Another one that called customer assets. So what this is this used to be in 2015 called customer equipment. And what this is the actual equipment that's being worked on for that service call. So that's one thing I didn't mention. On the call itself, if I come into one of these calls, I can actually tie the piece of equipment for this customer right to this call. So if you look here, it says primary incident customer asset. This is when they call in, if you have a serial number, if they have multiple pieces of equipment, you can actually narrow it down and figure out which piece of equipment it is, with which model number, what serial number. So you have a track of all the service that's been done on that one piece of equipment. Like I said, we have a manufacturing company that goes out and have 3 or 4 different machines. They track everything to that machine so that even if that equipment moves locations, let's say it's a gaming system. Let's say it's one of those fancy video poker machines that they have now, and it moves from one location to another. They can still track any maintenance that happens on those from the different locations, whether it's the same customer or not. So it tracks to the customer and it tracks to the piece of equipment.
Well, that'd be helpful for things like even laptops when you're reusing them to a new employee.
Correct. Yep. As long as you have like some kind of number that your unique identifying number that you have, it'll work on many levels. And it can be really, I mean, it's called asset because I think they've noticed that people are using it for more than just equipment.
Mm-hmm.
They're making it a broader term so people don't think it's just equipment. It could be anything that you're using, that you're working on. You can whatever you decide that is for your company, you can use that to track it back to that. So within the work order, there's some other pieces I want to show you that can be set up. You can actually set up a preferred resource. So if there's somebody that always comes out, so if let's say it's a plumbing company and somebody always is the preferred plumber that always comes out, they can be set up here as a preferred person that comes in. If you promise a certain time or they want a certain time, windows that they're available, and all this can be used with the scheduling assistant to get the time set up properly. What also you can do is, let's say the tech goes out to a specific location, does the agreed upon work that's there, but then when you're there, they decide that they want some other work done that's outside of the scope of the original work. What you can actually do is you can create up a follow-up work order based on this work order. And what it'll do is it'll basically create a work order. I think it gives you the -1. Let's see here real quick. Yep, it gives it a -1 and ties it back to the original work order. So you can put your new incident type and any other information you want in there, and it still has a tie back to that original work order. So if there's any secondary work that needs to be done, but you want to know it started from this other work order, you can do that. Or if it's just outside of scope of what you're doing, you can essentially, if you think of it as a project level, you create a work order to run a project, and then you have a change order. You can use this as a change order, essentially, for the new work that needs to be done.
Yeah, so many clients, once you're there, they're like, well, we have you.
Right.
So this is a great way to track that.
Yes. Yeah, and if you notice here, you can tie your agreements into. So if there is a different service level agreement, you can tie in there. The schedule board we talked about adding and dragging the calls on here. You can create as many schedule boards as you want with your different territories. You can have one that's just New Jersey territory, only showing your resources for that territory. If you notice here, when I'm clicking on the different calls, I can see the data over here of what the actual call is. If I want to, I can highlight over it. This seems to give me a little bit more information. Um, let's say the techs don't, you decide that the techs aren't going to have mobile devices themselves. You can actually come in here and from here, and then you can set it so that the person that's doing this can open this up and change their statuses for them. It just depends on how your company runs it, and if real time is what you're looking for. So you can actually come in and change it for them depending on your security. What this all does too, based on this, is once you're done here and you mark this to completed, this will actually give you a total number of hours on the call. So the actual billable duration for the time that was in progress is 11 minutes. All right, you can change this to get your, based on your billing hours on how you want to bill them as far as invoicing. And invoicing in here uses just the standard CRM invoicing. As you can see here, is you can create purchase orders within here. If you need to order pieces, you can track the receipts and the bills of those purchase orders in here as well. Are there any questions at this point?
So far, I haven't seen anybody with questions come through yet, aside from me.
Okay. That's really about all we got for FieldOne Sky. I mean, I don't want to get too granular into anything, but that covers all of our different sections. At this point, it's really about any questions that you might have and anything that you want to ask if it can do, or any pieces that you're interested in seeing.
Okay, well, I can unmute everybody so that we can hear you. You can just ask your questions live if you have them. So I'll go ahead and do that. So everybody is able to ask questions. So Jamie, you had said before that you don't have the interface on your phone. You can't show that, but at some point, will we be able to do that?
Yeah, I can't do it because of the way this demo is set up. You can show it for other pieces. I can show a basic part of it. I actually have a program that I can show the basic demo. I just can't get into the actual work orders itself.
Understood.
If you
I was
give me a
just,
second here, I can actually pull it up on my screen and just kind of give you an idea of what the program looks like.
okay.
Um,
I was thinking maybe too, we could record a little snippet, a 2-minute snippet, and provide that to people if that's helpful. So, but I'm
yeah, just
always,
give me one sec here, Don.
sure. I'm always fascinated about how much I can do from my phone these days. So,
Yeah, there's an interesting tool if anybody's interested called iTools. It allows you, if you have an iPhone, to tie it in
you said
to
the
the.
I word on a Microsoft demo?
I did. Uh,
We'll forgive you.
I'm
Wow.
not the only one with an iPhone around here, so.
Shh, don't
Um,
tell anybody.
so what if you can see that now? I
Yeah.
can actually bring up the phone. So this is the app that it uses.
Okay.
Generally, what it does is it'll have a work order and a work order schedule within here.
Gotcha.
So you can bring up, and this app is by Resco as well. This is actually just a mobile app that is available for people. There's a FieldOne Sky version of this app,
Okay.
but this app is available as well for download from the App Store from many places. Um, for standard CRM as well, anywhere. So up here you'll see this is if I'm real-time connected, and this is syncing records down. So if I can actually go into account here and pull up those same clients that I had in there. If you see,
Oh, yeah.
I can come in, I can actually call from here, I can email from here. If I do make a phone call, it will actually track it as an activity within the system as well. So generally down here, you would see different pieces based on the work order pieces. Because that piece isn't built out in the demo, it's not there. I can actually come into a contact here. And actually the contacts, what it'll do with the contacts is it picks up your contacts on your machine and the contacts within CRM. So obviously one that says basketball is probably not in our CRM or in the demo, so that's actually coming from my phone. So you
Gotcha.
can actually, the nice thing is you can make phone calls from this. It will track your service, or it'll track it as an activity within your CRM as well. So generally, though, what it'll have is there's a work order piece in here that I couldn't get tied in with the demo because it takes a different piece to build that part out. It's
Gotcha.
not a part of standard CRM when you come in there. You actually have to give access to those windows as part of the standard CRM when you get FieldOne installed.
Okay.
So,
Well, that's really neat, even if it is an iPhone.
yes. Well, this app is available on Android too. So,
Now you're
and
talking
I
my
think
language.
and Windows Mobile as well. So,
Okay.
all right, and I could probably get some screenshots of it too, Donna, and get those over to you from one of my other clients that's using it.
You read my mind.
Without showing any real data, just showing the
Right.
screenshots. So,
That would be great because I think we'll put together a cheat sheet to follow up from this since the we didn't use a PowerPoint or slides or anything. It'd be nice to have a little follow up for everybody so they get the short story. Anyone have comments or questions about usability or whether it would be useful to you? Because I can see lots of applications for it just within our customer base.
yeah, it really just depends on what you're trying to, accomplish from it. It also it depends on what your definition of service is. So,
Right.
it depends if you're looking at services as far as, running service calls, or is it just, servicing your client in everyday projects. It can actually be used on both sides. It just depends on what your definition is and how you want to define everything.
Yeah, it does seem very flexible.
Initially, it was built obviously to run service calls, but it has evolved itself to be able to do more than that.
Yeah, it seems pretty robust so far. Um, I guess everyone took their quiet pills this morning, so no one has questions or comments. So I guess you just did it so well that they don't feel the need.
Or I went so fast that they're all confused. One of the two.
Either way,
I've gotten both comments before, Donna, so it's okay.
I think
No, but if there are any questions, Donna's got all the contact information. Please feel free to reach out with any questions that you might have.
yeah, or follow-up information that you want on the product or how to customize it,
Yep.
etc. We're here. And if that's everything from everybody, then we'll wrap up and I will stop the recording, send that over to get that processed, and we'll post it out on the internet for you. Still quiet.
All right. Well, I really appreciate everybody's time today. Um, like we said, please reach out if there are any questions.
Yeah, same here, and thank you very much for presenting.